हमारे हिंदुस्तान में लाइव देखने की जो प्रक्रिया है, रेड चाँद देखने की जो प्रक्रिया है वो दिन में हो रही है, करीब 3 से 4 के बीच में। तो ये टेलीस्कोप के माध्यम से इस चाँद को देखने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है और बहुत ही शानदार नज़ारा होगा जब चाँद लाल होगा। बस ये थोड़ी देर में दिखेगा। अमेरिका में ये रात को नज़र आएगा, हिंदुस्तान में ये दिन को नज़र आ रहा है। इसे टेलीस्कोप से देखा जा रहा है। अभी कुछ ही देर में अमेजिंग नज़ारा है वो आपको देखने मिलेगा जब चाँद लाल होगा। वैसे हम बहुत खुश नसीब हैं जिन्हें हमें ऐसे नज़ारे देखने मिल रहे हैं, वो भी लाइव। हम ऐसी जनरेशन में हैं जो ऐसे नज़ारे लाइव देख सकते हैं। आप देख सकते हैं कि चाँद को पूरा देखा जा रहा है, चाँद पूरा दिख रहा है। मैं जानता हूँ कि ये नज़ारा हर कोई नहीं देख पाएगा। आप जो देख रहे हो इसे लाइव में, तो आप बड़े खुश नसीब हो, क्योंकि ऐसा मौका हज़ारों सालों में सिर्फ़ एक बार आता है। आप बहुत खुश नसीब हो जो इस वक्त लाइव देख रहे हो। शायद थोड़ा और जूम करने की ज़रूरत है।
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Right now we are seeing some clouds over the moon. It's kind of periodic. Maybe I want to wait a little bit longer until it gets farther into the umbra. Let's
Period of information is today, but I'll get into some of the differences. And like the last three that we talked about, this one also doesn't explain how we can know that the lunar rocks have been heated over time based off of some sort of event or cataclysm that must have. And then that degree eventually.
So it's not a perfect circle. So sometimes it's farther from the Earth, and sometimes it's closer. There's quite a difference in the distances. The closest is a little over 221,000 miles. The most distant point, I believe, is around 256,000 miles. So there's quite a difference between the closest and farthest.
So we just got a question, is this event being recorded? And yes, it is. So you'll be able to watch this for several weeks. The recordings are out there on Facebook and on YouTube.
Which is not an excuse for going off and going to bed.
Right. If we have to stay up,
You have to stay up. You have to stay up.
So Tony, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's kind of an amazing sight here. We're seeing the shadow creep up on the left side of the moon. And I'm looking at it in the camera viewfinder. I can see it pronounced there as well. But looking towards the moon, just following the end of the finder scope here, you can actually see it naked eye right now. It's pretty dramatic.
Yeah, you can now see that it's in the umbra. Even with the naked eye.
Very dark.
Yep. So what will happen is going to be kind of strange. Initially, as the umbra creeps across the moon, it will seem very dark. But then once it's almost completely in its totality, all of a sudden that dark umbra will get this reddish color to it. And I'm not sure why that is. It may just be as your eye is adjusting to the light. That's not live view.
I'm just gonna snap a picture here. And then we'll go back to live view. That's live view.
Oh, now you get it too dark.
fix that. Actually, boy, did it.
Rick, why don't you let me grab the live view, and then you can take some still images, so you can have some. Okay, sounds great. Yeah, hold on for a moment. Let's swap out here.
Yeah, the exposure is really changing
It is very
quite
quick.
fast right now.
Yeah, it's a little hard to keep up with.
Okay.
There we go. All right.
I'm not sure whether it's your focus or what, but your image seems to be less detailed.
Yeah, it's the sensor difference between Rick's camera and this one. This has many more pixels. It has a higher dynamic range too. But yes, that is absolutely true.
Another thing is the telescope that Rick's camera is mounted on, it has a shield around the front lens that's heated, and so that is minimizing the effects of low temperature variations. But Richard's telescope does not have that feature, so you can see that there's a lot more fluctuation.
Oh, you don't know. You're overanalyzing it. That's happening because of the steel grating that the telescope is sitting on. Watch
And
this.
people are walking back and forth across there too. Yeah.
This is what happens. The moon is truly made out of cheese. Yeah, no, that's all.
You got people walking by.
Yeah, people are walking by. Those people who are at the door of the observatory right now just walked by while you were saying that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better. Yeah, that would have to be me. I'm
calling ET. ET is on our scope. Where?
so,
Which of us are you calling ET?
yeah, that would have to be me. I'm caught in this infrared light. I look like one of those the targets of a wildlife camera. So Tamara mentioned that she forgot her snacks, and I'm realizing that so did we. And but we do have coffee and tea.
We do. And hot chocolate too, I think.
I didn't know that.
It's going to take a while for the moon to completely empty the umbra. So it's going to be a little while before we start seeing that rusty red color. Let's get into fully into the umbra until around 4:11 Pacific time, which is what is that? 11 Universal time for those of you in the rest of the world. And it will not last very long. It will only last about 15 minutes. So look quick.
Bree asks, in what direction is the moon? I've got a cloudy sky. So right now it's west.
Yeah.
Kind of low in the sky.
Unless you're somewhere else in the world, in which case it might be in the southeast or straight south.
Well, here in Oakland.
From here it is.
Any guesses on how many times Gerald says Umbra? Yeah. Yeah, you have to take a drink every time Gerald says Umbra.
Oh, we're gonna have some people going crazy today.
Yeah.
Yeah, have one for me because I can't have.
Well, that's an interesting question.
that Michelle asked is, during a solar eclipse, wildlife changes their behavior, and make different sounds. They hide or come out of hiding, depending on whether they're diurnal or nocturnal animals. Is there any wildlife effects from a lunar eclipse?
That's a really good question.
I have no idea. I'm posing the question. Yeah.
Werewolves go to sleep. You can tell it's getting late for us. We're starting to get kind of silly.
Yeah. Well,
It'll get worse.
It will only get worse. Yeah. If we're staying up all night, don't expect us to be serious all night.
Jokes will become more frequent and not as funny.
And less coherent. Yeah.
But we'll laugh a lot more anyway. I'm not sure when the next total lunar eclipse is going to be, but I hope it's at a better time for us.
Yeah. I think this is probably the first time in my life I've stayed up all night for a lunar eclipse. I've stayed up all night for a solar eclipse and was disappointed.
Yeah, I bet you were.
We're only off by about 12 hours.
I warned you folks, the jokes will get worse. Yield Sage says his cats are getting weird.
Cats are always weird. My cats are always weird. But maybe.
Someone asked, is the moon hollow? No, it is not hollow. It's a solid object all the way through. Some debate about whether it's truly solid all the way through. One time it had a molten interior, and we think that molten interior has long since cooled and solidified, but occasionally we see some indication that maybe not completely, so we're still not 100% sure. Let's see, have I gone more than 2 minutes without saying Umbra?
Yeah, you just said it. Just said it.
Good morning from Ohio. Gee, Ohio, it's almost daybreak in Ohio.
Jordan says, can I see it in Maryland?
Somebody says,
Should be able to.
Jesse said he or she saw a UFO. Well, first of all, we don't call them UFOs anymore. They're now called UAPs.
Right. I think some people still call them UFOs, Gerald.
Well, the newspapers do.
Yeah.
The tabloids.
All right, now somebody's making fun of me. Umbra, Umbra, Umbra. One question, what is a lunar eclipse? Oh, well, it's probably a good idea that we review for those of you who haven't been paying attention or just joined us. We are enjoying a total lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse happens when the moon passes through the shadow of the Earth. That happens when the moon is on the opposite side of the Earth from the sun. The moon's orbit is inclined or at an angle relative to the Earth's orbit around the sun. So the moon, most of the time, is a little bit above the line between the Earth and the Sun, or a little bit below the line between the Earth and the Sun. But once in a while, it's right on that line. And if it gets all lined up so that the Earth, Moon, and Sun are all in one line, you get a total lunar eclipse.
Oh, can I show my video again?
Yeah.
Try.
Absolutely.
I'll try to do it with a different app this time that might work a little
You
better.
didn't do so well last
I
time.
know.
You said that with just the right amount of snark.
Okay, let's come here. Are we seeing my screen or my?
We're seeing your YouTube screen.
Yeah, why?
You shared your entire desktop, I think.
Here we go.
There.
Okay, so here is the sky at midnight, and in a few seconds here it'll start moving. Yeah, we'll drift
Oh,
across, and we'll lose the constellations and lose the ecliptic, and now you can see, as I zoom in just a little bit, you can see the background stars, and you can see how the moon just crosses into the penumbra right there, which we've already done. And as time goes on, I'm going at about 300 times normal speed here. And this is where it crosses into the umbra. And that's about where we are right now. But it will keep going, get all the way into the shadow, the dark part of the shadow. Right about there at around 4 o'clock. You can see that it just kind of skims across there and just barely makes it. And then all of a sudden it gets to be morning.
That line you see across the moon is the equator of the
Yeah, where it says SW there, that is the equator. Oh, that's the lunar equator, but you can see the actual horizon there. And that's the end right there. So that worked a little better this time, right?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay.
All right, back to Rick's view of the moon.
Powered by Backyard EOS.
Yes, indeed. Let's move this over.
Somebody asked, how long is the eclipse going to last? A couple more hours. It will not fully exit until, probably around 6 o'clock or so in the morning, our time, here in California.
The moon is well below the horizon at that point.
Yeah, if you'll stand by here for a second, I will look up and tell you what that time is, universal time, because I know most of you are not in California.
It's around a little after 7. Oops, what happened here?
Yeah, so it will exit the penumbra at 13:49:41 universal time, so 13 hours 49 minutes universal time. It will exit the umbra at 12 hours 52 minutes universal time. So hopefully wherever you are, you can convert from universal time to your local time, and that will tell you when this will all end. But we're a long way away yet. We're waiting to get what we call U2, which is when it is fully into the umbra. And that will happen at 11:11 universal time, or 4:11 a.m. here in Oakland, California.
I'll bet you guys are nice and warm in that covered observatory.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we got the little fire going here. This is nice.
Completely
You
covered
guys
except
passed
for
over the
half a bit.
marshmallows.
You got the bunny suit on though.
That's true. Yeah, it is true. And I'm getting warmed up by this infrared light.
Gotta,
Right.
gotta be careful. I got a sunburn there. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
A moonburn.
Moonbird.
yeah. So we're having to make adjustments more frequently now with the exposure, and even though we're doing that, we're still getting overexposed on the it's like the western limb of the moon there.
Yeah.
Now, the good news is once it's in totality, you can adjust it so that you can see a lot more detail in the dark part of the moon.
Yeah.
It'll all have a kind of reddish orange tinge to it. Once again, we want to welcome everybody from around the world who have joined us. We are coming to you from the Chabot Space and Science Center in Oakland, California. Where it is right now 8 minutes after 3 a.m. in the morning. Almost my bedtime.
Well, I believe that that's true, Gerald. You were up really late in North Carolina, which is where I think you were, joining us for our virtual telescope program last week.
Just the other day.
That was just the other day, and it was after midnight. So, yeah, I think you're truly a night owl.
He's an astronomer.
Yeah, that's true.
We do it in the dark,
That's right. And you can't detect asteroids very easily during the day.
No, you cannot.
So Jesse says, I still don't understand why the moon goes red. Can we talk about that again?
Well, let me pull up that graphic again and we'll do it one more time.
Sure, we got lots of time.
Okay, so here's the sunlight striking the Earth on the opposite side of where we are. Some of that sunlight is passing through the atmosphere of the Earth near the surface, all the way around the circumference of the Earth. As it passes through the atmosphere, it is refracted. And the refraction separates the colors, causes some of the colors, the blue part and the green part of the spectrum, to be refracted away from the Earth's shadow. But the red part of the spectrum is refracted into the shadow of the Earth. Now, from the perspective of the moon, it's as if we are seeing a sunset all the way around the circumference of the moon.
Of the Earth.
Of the Earth, rather. And quite often when you see a sunset, you see that the sky turns kind of reddish, and it's the same idea. Refraction is refracting the blue and the green light away from your point of view, and it's refracting the red light toward you, and that's what's going on here. In fact, I'm going to see if I can find here. Nope, going the wrong direction. Very hard to do this with. Here we go. So this is the point of view you would have if you were on the moon right now, looking back toward the Earth. The sun would be on the opposite side of the Earth, and all around the circumference of the Earth where the atmosphere is, light is being refracted by the atmosphere, and that red part of the spectrum is entering into the shadow of the Earth. So instead of having a black shadow, you get a reddish shadow.
Very well put.
All right. Rick, it's back to you.
Okay, let me grab it.
So Paco asks, if something was to hit the moon in the dark side, would it show during the eclipse?
Yes, it would. In fact, in the year 2019, observers were doing pretty much the same thing that we're doing now during a total solar eclipse. And exactly that happened. There was an impact, and it was an impact on the part of the moon that was in the shadow. So for a very short period, you saw a bright flash. It was not very big, just a little tiny flash in the part of the moon that's dark. And later on analysis, they realized what they had seen was a impact in that part of the moon.
Pretty cool.
So it can happen. So Rick, you've been adjusting the exposure here. So when I look at the moon with the naked eye right now, I see it looks pretty much the same as it does in your image here. About half of the moon is covered by the inner umbra shadow of the Earth.
And you know what I'm looking at too, Gerald, is the curvature of that shadow. It is kind of amazing, and you might think that it would be a straight line, but it actually shows a curvature.
Yeah, it's a very definite curve there.
Well, that must mean that the Earth is round.
Did we prove it?
Yes.
The Earth is round?
Well, we at least proved that it's a circle.
Right.
That's right. In 2 dimensions here.
There's this misconception that a lot of people have that prior to Columbus discovering America, that people thought the Earth was flat.
No.
Actually, that's not true. More 2,000 years ago, they already knew that the Earth was round. And one of the indications they had was exactly what you're seeing now. The fact that the Earth's shadow moving across the moon had a curvature to it. And that was one of the indications that it was a round Earth, not a flat Earth. In fact, the first attempted measurement of the circumference of the Earth was done about 2,300, 2,400 years ago by a guy named Eratosthenes. And there is a crater on the moon named after Eratosthenes.
So I wonder if we're going to get a whole bunch of comments now from the flat earthers about whether
I hope not.
the Earth is really flat.
I certainly hope not.
Well, there's some interesting comments, but I won't comment about them. moon is about a third of the way into the umbra right now. I have to stand up in order to see it anymore. It's getting way over to the southwest now. But yeah, it's very prominent shadow now.
Yeah, the view that we're seeing on screen right now live is actually matching what we're seeing with our naked eye, basically. So just gazing up past the telescope here, the view to the naked eye is exactly what you're seeing on the screen right now. And I don't know if you could notice the moon itself seems to be wavering a little bit. We're looking through a lot of atmospheric moisture, and that's one of the problems of being so close to the ocean here, is that we have to contend with high humidity levels, and you can see that in the waviness of the image. I hope that's coming through on the live stream feed.
Yeah, we're able to see that.
So I'm told down in Southern California that Griffith Observatory has gotten clouded out. So
Oh my!
we may be getting a lot of visitors that were viewing their site coming to our site at this point.
Well, I hope they're.
So welcome all of those people.
Yeah. I hope they're using our feed. We
Yeah.
were planning on using theirs if we were cloudy.
That's right.
It's only fair.
We get along with those guys.
It's the History Channel that we have problems with.
You might have to explain that.
Yeah, I'll have to explain that. So we were doing a program, I think it was like our second or third virtual telescope program, which the three of us, actually the four of us now, do every Saturday night at either 9:30 in the summertime or 9 p.m. The rest of the year, where we do live views through the 36-inch telescope using cameras much like this. And it was a full moon, and Gerald showed a photograph that he had taken of the full moon, which had a lot of detail in it. And we were going back and forth between that photograph and the live views. And a day later, I received a notification from Facebook saying, your video has been disputed for copyright protection. And it was like, what? We were copyright protection. We're doing this live. And then, what copyright protection? And then digging further, it was Gerald's photo of the moon that had triggered the copyright protection. And it turns out that the History Channel had an image that the algorithm was considering identical. Which is no surprise, because it's a picture
we're taking a picture of the moon. It's
So the video was made inaccessible for like a week until my dispute of their claim was processed by a human being. And then they said, oh yeah, it's a picture of the moon. And they released the video. So ever since then, we've been making jokes about the History Channel. Well-deserved ones, I may add.
Gerald is giving an interview to a news person out there on the deck right now, so we won't hear him say umbra